Last, the foot. The foot has almost the same organization, the same structure as the hand. We're going to find a group of tarsal bones instead of carpal bones. In here we call them tarsal with a T. And it consists of 7, not 8, little short type of bones. Distal to that, we're going to find 5 metatarsals instead of metacarpals. And distal to that, the phalanges, just like in your hand. Let's name the tarsal bones. So let's start first with the bone forming the heel of your foot. Okay, so this is the calcaneus. In here in orange, that's the calcaneus. This is a superior view. This is a medial view. Superior or proximal to the calcaneus, we're going to find right on top. Can you see? This is the talus, another bone, the talus. So talus, calcaneus. Right in front of the talus, we're going to find the navicular. And right in front of the calcaneus, we're going to find the cuboid, which is a lateral bone. And then right in front of the navicular, we're going to find 3 cuneiforms. And we start naming them, starting with the medial one on the same side of your hallux. This is the medial cuneiform, intermediate, and lateral cuneiform. And then the cuboid, navicular, talus, and calcaneus. Those are the bones. Let me show you in here. Calcaneus, talus superiorly, cuboid is lateral bone, and navicular is medial. And right in front, anterior to the navicular, you're going to find the 3 cuneiforms, the medial, intermediate, and lateral cuneiform. Distal to the group of tarsal bones, you're going to find 5 metatarsals. And just like in the hand, you start naming these metatarsals, starting with, in the hand you started with the pollex, in here we start with the hallux, or the big toe. It's easier to remember that way than, in the hand we start laterally in anatomical position. This is the number 1. But in the foot, you start medially, from medial to lateral. Okay, so the one facing medially, the one of the big toe, that's the first metatarsal, the second, third, fourth, and the 5th metatarsal is facing the lateral side of your foot. Distal to that, we're going to find the phalanges, and in here is exactly the same as we described on the hand. You have a row, every single toe has proximal phalanges and has distal phalanges. Middle phalanges are present just in the second, third, fourth, and 5th toe. The first toe, or the hallux, only has proximal and distal phalanx. Now, the joints. The joints that we can describe in here are, first of all, the talocrural joint, which is the joint between talo for talus and crudal for the bones of your leg. So we're going to articulate the inferior side of the tibia and fibula with the talus, and it forms the ankle joint. And this ankle joint is called talocrural articulation. This joint that I have already articulated in here, tibia, fibula, and talus, this joint is a hinge joint. So it only allows movement in one plane. And this is dorsiflexion, bringing your toes closer to your leg. And this is plantar flexion, like walking, lifting your heel from the floor. This is neutral. This is plantar flexion, like you're walking in your tippy toes. Okay. Then we have Distal to that, in between the tarsal bones, there are 7 tarsal bones, so at least 7 intertarsal articulations, including the metatarsal articulation. Important in here is that to remember that at this joint, inversion and eversion uh, happens or occur. So the movements of inversion and eversion of the foot are um, occur at the level of the intertarsal joint, not at the ankle joint. Again, ankle, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. On the intertarsal bones, this is not a good, I cannot move it. But on the intertarsal joint, we can perform inversion when both of your soles see each other, and eversion when they look away from each other. So in here you have inversion, and this is eversion. What else? Let's describe the rest of the articulations. I don't know if I have another, no. The rest of the articulations we have between the tarsal or the distal row of tarsal bones and the metatarsal bones, we have tarsal, metatarsal articulation. As easy as that. And in here, just gliding movements are occurring at these places or at this side. Distally, we're going to describe the articulation now between the metatarsal and the proximal phalanx of each toe. So these articulations are called metatarsal phalangeal joints, and they're condylar joints. So they are biaxial, meaning that they allow they allow the movement of flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction of your toes. Again, well, I cannot move it that much, but the flexion, this movement like this, flexion, extension, when you separate it, those are abduction, put them back together, adduction of the toes. And distal to that, we're going to find the interphalangeal joints. If you recall from last week when we were describing the hand, we said that we have on the hallux, in that case on the pollex, but in here on the hallux we have just one interphalangeal joint between the proximal and the distal phalanx. Movements allowed, flexion and extension. The rest of the toes from second, third, fourth, and fifth digits allows, in those digits we have a proximal interphalangeal joint between the proximal and the middle phalanx, and a distal interphalangeal joint between the middle and the distal phalanx at each digit. And these articulations just allow the movement of flexion and extension. Flexion and extension. See you later, alligator.